Hi, I'm Peg Tillery from Washington State University Extension, and this is another in a series of Kitsap Gardener. And today we're going to talk to you about a little bit about your septic systems, on-site sewage systems. And this is Jody Holdcroft from the Kitsap County Health District, and you'll hear a lot more from her. This is, I'm going to have to read this card because I keep forgetting his name. My apologies. This is Lance Hale, and he's with Dave's Septic Services. And there are all kinds of, they're called O&M, Operation and Maintenance Specialists, and they are your friend, both of these people, if you have an on-site septic system on your property.
Well, the first thing your O&M guy is ever going to do, the first thing he's going to check is your control panels, which is where your alarms are. This particular system has two control panels. Small one right here for the air compressor. This is an aerobic treatment unit. And then it's followed by pressure, has your second control panel and access to silence alarms. Not a bad setup here. They've disguised it a little bit, but still left us plenty of room to get into it and do what we need to do. Very good setup. Well, the second place your O&M guy is going to start at is around your tanks. Here you have a fairly complicated system in that you have an aerobic treatment unit, these two lids, a disinfection chlorinator right here, you have a septic tank right there, and under the bear is the pump tank. Now, this is a real nice setup in that we have access to everything, but it's reasonably well disguised and looks real pretty. Having a bear or something else on the top of a tank lid to disguise it, not a bad thing, but you want to keep in mind we have to take these things off to get in the lids, so a 500-pound planter isn't going to work. Something we can reasonably move, hey, no problem. Okay, this is a typical pressure distribution system layout. This box right here is your valve assembly. What this has is all the valves that control flow to the different laterals, allows us to adjust flow if we observe ponding in a particular lateral. You can get your as-built, will tell you how your layout is and how many laterals you have. We know we have 5 here because we have 5 valves. Okay, this is a typical lateral end. Good things about these, they're low enough to the ground that you can mow over the top of them without hitting them. We have to get to these. This is the end of the pipe. We want to flush these out every year. Make sure we get rid of any debris. Allows us to evaluate how our other treatment systems are working, because this is where the final product comes out. And this is your lateral end. This is what we're going to unscrew this cap every year and flush. This is a combination observation port lateral end clean out. Really good, it eliminates extra lids within the lawn. Kind of the new way of doing things now.
So Lance, when you say flush it out and clean it out and that you go into monitor, what do those terms mean?
Okay, what we want to do is, basically what we're doing is we take the end cap off and turn the pump on. And that's going to run effluent through it. Okay. Which is exactly what you're dosing to the field. So it allows us to look at that effluent quality. Okay. It tells us how our treatment system is working. Or one of the things that'll tell us. Gets rid of any buildup within the pipe. Okay. Any place you have effluent, you're going to develop sludge. So we want to flush that out every year, ensure we're getting water. We don't have a pipe that broke or became obstructed during the year.
So define effluent for them too.
Okay. Effluent is your wastewater. Okay. That's
Yep. And Jody's going to tell us a little bit about these other things. Thanks.
Influence going into the tank, effluence leaving it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep, thanks.
Here we have another septic tank. We have access to the inlet, which is always good to have because this is where they want to plug a lot of the times. My guys that work for me tell me we're finding 2 or 3 a week that we unclog before they clog up just by looking at them. Primary lid, this is where it'll be pumped at. You have a dividing wall right here. This is a 2-compartment tank. This is where your outlet baffle is. Most systems will have a filter in here that gets cleaned yearly. Leaves this tank. Again, pump tank. Something that's easily moved that we can get off and get into it, but helps disguise the tank. Control panel. Easily accessible, not obstructed. And from here it'll pump up to the Glendon biofilters up the hill. This is the stub out coming from the house. Everything that leaves the house comes out here. This is the clean out. We use this, we can look in this. If nobody's home and you're having a high water alarm, we can see if you have flow coming out of the house when nobody's using the place. Typically we just drop just a little bit of sand in it, and if it washes by, we know you have a leak. Okay, we're up by the Glendons now. A good thing to always have marked is your valves. Here, a real good idea, set a plate or something on it. It helps us find it, easy access. Normally don't have to get in there unless we have to adjust the system. We find it's not dosing equally between the two pods. Other than that, we pretty much leave it alone. You can see they have real good cover on it. Helps hold the soil. These are just a pile of sand at the top, so you run into problems during the winter if you don't have some kind of cover on them. The sand wants to wash away, and it compromises the integrity of the system. I've even had a couple customers that we had to shovel everything back on top because it washed so bad. You typically don't want to be crawling around on these a lot for the same reason. You make paths for water to flow, and it helps break them down. We always try to access from the high point. And the only thing you really got to get to up here is the center lid. And this is great. We got low ground cover. It's not this tall. We can find it. It's easy. Looks great.
This is Faye Linger, and she's a WSU Master Gardener, and we think she's one of our most expert people on lots of things. And we're at her home. She had to put in a Glendon system 2 years ago, and she landscaped the whole area with native plants because that's one of her favorite, most forte things. And so she's going to walk you through her garden and tell you the plants she selected and why.
Thanks, Peg. We started off actually wanting to shield the mounds from the driveway, so we're using snowberries, which are a neat plant and should be no care. Hopefully they won't send runners up into the mounds. The mounds themselves are covered in the beach strawberry, which is our local native strawberry that grows on sand. And these mounds are pure sand. And so far they've been okay. They have a little bit of a disease right now, but they've covered well. They've kept the sand up in the mounds, which you're supposed to. All of these mounds do require weeding. This is actually our reserve septic area, which I've planted into a garden. At some point in the future, perhaps, should the mounds fail, this would be the backup area, and it's required by law that we have this. And I can show you other places where there are walled off and fenced off Glendon mounds. This is a case where they didn't want their dogs to be climbing on the septic mounds, or their kids, I think. But I think it was primarily dogs. And so they have fenced off each mound, and the mounds are planted with strawberries originally, but ivy has gotten into this, which is probably not a good idea. Ivy is a noxious weed anyway, and it's not a good idea to have it on the mounds. So, but this is one way of handling kids and dogs climbing on the mounds. This is a plant called Gallium, northern bedstraw. You can buy this in the ground cover sections of your local plant nurseries. And they have just managed to keep this all in Gallium. It works fine. And there are 3 of these mounds down the road here, down the driveway, and it really is very effective. And full sun, and you can actually weed them, which is another advantage of being able to go all the way around these mounds, because you can get to all sides and weed them. But they do need weeding.
Oh, I love it!
Find the mound.
Find the mound. Jody, how cool is this? If you want a hedge that you can prune the heck out of and it still looks wonderful and forgiving, it's you. And what's the variety, Faye?
This one is Hicksii. H-I-C-K-I-I-H-I. Yeah, H-I-C-K-S-I-I. Hicksii.
I. Hicksii.
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 I'm pretty sure. But this is, you know, you can prune these and it hides the mounds.
And I don't know if you can see, but it gets these wonderful berries.
Red berries.
Don't eat them.
And, yeah,
don't eat them.
And then,
but beautiful. Look at the colors and the texture. Cool? And who would know there's a mound on the other side?
Right. Well, again, it's screening the mounds.
Yeah.
You know, you can't really honestly do an awful lot with them. They are mounds. This is a situation where she was required to have 2 mounds for a 2-bedroom house, and these are the 2 mounds, the ones closest to the house. They have strawberries on them, and they have heather, and they have some weeds because, again, they all have to be weeded sooner or later. Then, to make it flow down the driveway, they went ahead and built a big berm. And the big trees you see here, the Japanese maple and the other big trees and the big rhodies are all planted on a berm so that basically the mounds kind of flow down the driveway. And it was a landscaping element that I thought was very clever.
So there's 3 basic concepts in landscaping a septic system. The first one is know what kind of system you have and know how it functions. So there's copies of your septic system records usually on file through the health district. So you can contact the health district and get a copy of your records for your alternative septic system. Alternative septic systems in Kitsap County are required to have an operation and maintenance contract, and that's why you would hire someone such as Lance Hale, who we brought in today, who will walk you through your septic system, tell you how it functions and what kind of elements they need and components they need to access in order to do the regular maintenance of the septic system. The second concept is accessibility for that operation and maintenance to keep your septic system working well. And then the third thing is know which plantings go with your septic system. What's the appropriate plants?
And Jody and I go on the road and give talks to neighborhood groups. Sometimes we can even drag Faye along with us if you'd like to hear more from her, which I'm sure you would. And all of this information will be on the WSU website, kitsap.wsu.edu, and we'll link you to Jody and all the great things that they have to offer.